right. Let's jump right in, shall we? We're talking street photography today, a genre I know a lot of you are itching to explore.
Yeah, it's really about capturing those raw, unplanned moments of life as it unfolds around you. It's about finding the extraordinary in the ordinary, you know?
So more than just like snapping a photo of a busy street corner.
Exactly. It's about capturing the story within the scene. Think of, say, Henri Cartier-Bresson. He was really a pioneer in this field. He talked about this thing called the decisive moment. It's this split second, this convergence of like perfect composition, timing, emotion.
Almost like you're trying to bottle a feeling, not just take a picture.
Exactly. So imagine a man about to jump over a puddle, and Cartier-Bresson, he captures him, right? Suspended midair, the reflection rippling below, boom, decisive moment.
I love that. And while Cartier-Bresson was all about those geometrically perfect moments, someone like Vivian Maier, she offers a completely different perspective on street photography, right?
Totally. Maier, she was all about those intimate glimpses into everyday life. Her work often focused on children, the elderly, people often overlooked. And the way she did it, often with her Rolleiflex, it gives those photos a really unique feel.
And her story's incredible too, right? I mean, working as a nanny, her talent only being discovered after her death, shows you the power of just getting out there and shooting, even if no one sees it at first.
Absolutely. And then you've got someone like Gary Winogrand. He was prolific, man, just immersed himself in the streets, especially in America, documenting the energy, the social dynamics, all of it.
His photos weren't always perfectly framed or anything, but they had this rawness, this unfiltered truth that was really captivating.
Exactly. He wasn't afraid to experiment. So we've talked about the masters, but how do we, everyday folks, get started with street photography? What about gear?
Yeah, what do we need?
Honestly, the best camera is the one you have with you. Seriously, even your phone can be a powerful tool. It's really about understanding how to use it well. That being said, certain lenses can really help, like wide-angle lenses.
Yeah, so you can get that broader scene, especially when things are happening fast.
Exactly. Capture the whole story as it unfolds. Another favorite are prime lenses. They tend to be sharper, faster, letting in more light, which is super helpful when you're on the move. And speaking of light, well, it's your best friend in street photography.
Light. So even without fancy cameras, you're saying mastering light is key to making those photos pop.
100%. Early morning, late afternoon, that's when you get that beautiful, soft light. Magical, really. Now, midday sun, yeah, that can be tricky with the harsh shadows. But even those, you can use them creatively.
Like those nighttime photos in the article we shared. They had this completely different feel, almost cinematic,
Right. Shooting at night, it's a whole different ballgame. You're working with artificial light, slower shutter speeds, which can lead to these incredible light trails, a totally different energy.
I do have to ask, though, what about, people's privacy? There's a lot of talk about ethical street photography these days.
Yeah, and it's super important. You want to capture the moment, not intrude on it. Some people use techniques like shooting from the hip, being discreet with their camera settings. It's more about observation, less in your face.
Respecting the flow of the street, not interrupting it. So how do we move beyond just taking snapshots and create images that really tell a story?
Composition, my friend. That's the key. Think about things like leading lines. Imagine a road that stretches into the distance, pulling your eye into the photograph.
Like in those Renaissance paintings where the lines lead you to the focal point.
Yeah, exactly. Or framing. Use elements like, say, doorways, arches. They create a frame within your frame, adds a sense of depth.
It's like using the environment to enhance the photo story, right?
Totally. Don't be afraid to play around with negative space, too. That's the empty space around your subject. Imagine a lone figure against a vast cityscape, right? The emptiness emphasizes their isolation. And then there's juxtaposition.
Juxtaposition. You mean like finding contrasting elements that create a sense of intrigue, right?
Exactly. For example, a businessman in a suit right next to a street performer. Old versus new, all in one frame.
It's like you're capturing the heartbeat of a city with all its contradictions and beauty.
You got it. And finally, layering. Using multiple subjects at different distances, that can really make your images come alive with a sense of depth and complexity.
It's amazing how much thought and, observation really goes into a great street photo. I feel inspired to grab my camera right now.
And that's the key. The best camera is the one you have with you, right? So get out there, start seeing the world through that street photography lens.
Well said. Now, I'm curious, listeners, what aspects of street photography really speak to you? Keep those cameras ready, and until next time, keep those lenses sharp.